So last time when we left off, we were talking about the target market. And these are the factors that are important for you and drive the things that you need to look at in terms of the opportunity for you in your target market. Now, there are three parts to the journey that we go on in terms of attracting and building up customers. And the first part is, how do we bring them in? And in order to bring them in, first of all, we need to know the customer. And we need to understand the value that we provide. When you look at a product, the value that you apply, for example, if there's a member in the class who's selling coral, the value isn't, oh, well, he gets to own some coral or part of the sea. The value of the coral might be aesthetics, that they want to bring something, beautiful into their life that makes them happy. There could be functional things, like it's better for my fish. That's the real value. The value isn't so much that I'm selling coral. So you need to know what kind of currency that your product produces. Like, are you creating bad stuff? Are you making, are you making bad stuff less? Or are you producing good stuff? And is there any kind of trade-off of me owning it? For example, with drugs. I can have a drug that lowers my cholesterol but might raise my blood pressure. Pretty much every drug has a trade-off against it. And so what kind of sense of urgency does my product have with the customer? How much do I resonate? The one thing about Apple, look at all those people lining up at the door when a new iPhone comes out. It's the people who do that. I gotta have it. I need to be one of the first ones. They create an urgency on something that isn't a need. Your message, how well does your message connect with the customer, and how do I measure that? What communication is about is closing a distance between you and someone else. An example I use in classes, I want you to give me $10,000 because I have an investment scheme that will return 20% a year. Well, nobody's going to give me $10,000. However, unless my name was Warren Buffett. However, if I said to you, look, I have this system and I'll prove it to you. Give me $50 to try. And I guarantee you, I wouldn't say guarantee because I wouldn't want to create that kind of liability. But I'm going to show you that I can return 20% of your money. And if it works, then invest more. And so the point is that $10,000 is too long a distance to move them, but I can move them 50. So the question is in terms of your message and all, how far away are your customers? And then in terms of monetizing these leads, what am I looking at? And what kind of time scale am I looking at? How long is this going to take to try to convince people? In terms of now that I've started to attract people, because I have this fantastic message that my customers are going to respond to, how do I convert those leads? And this is about creating the funnel. The first part is attracting them. All the digital marketing pretty much comes down to, it's either about social marketing, the web, or mobile. We can buy customers to come in, and what that means is like pay for ads, pop-ups, search engine ranking, that sort of thing. Organic is that it just happens on its own, like people running a search and they come across my website. Or is it something that I actually own, like I have great content or something like that that draws people in? And in a previous lecture, I talked about 19 different methods of selling. Your website, the journey you take your customer on their website is very important. And most of all, it's the landing page. That's the page that they come to where you're going to direct them in a certain direction. And most of that direction is to get information from you, get your email address, and then which pages do you want to drive them towards. The next step is, once, assuming they don't bounce away, is that you want to engage them. So in terms of your, is it your content that's going to keep attracting them? Is it just them looking for information? Or do they want to be educated? And once I thoroughly engage them, then how do I convert them to sales? And that's pretty much about cards and forms. And in terms of the sale itself, I need to supply what I said I was going to supply, and also how do I use that information again in the future. And so this is the web journey. The other journeys are, I could do it by ads, I could do it by email, I can contact them directly, like pick up the phone, or I could do it offline, send them mailers, send them catalogs or something like that. This forms what Fletcher refers to as the power grid. And that's that if you find you're not doing well, for example, I'm not doing well in terms of website engagement, I'm not getting people to my landing page, then I look at the other 4 techniques and say, okay, what can I do to help augment what I'm currently doing? What kind of techniques will work better? So once I have this flowing, I have people in my funnel, how do I scale up? How do I start getting a lot of users? I want to drive traffic. And the thing is, at this point, you know that your lifetime value of your customer is greater than the acquisition cost by many multiples. And so you're really at the point now where if you spend money, you can make money. You know what your return is on your advertising. In terms of content, you've become a publishing house, whether it's videos, webinars, games, articles, or whatever. You have the content that keeps them coming back for more. And finally, you rule SEO, that when they, due to your linking and everything else that goes on, your search engines, the search engine finds your site and you have a good organic ranking. And when people are looking for your particular product, they're going to find you. And so, yes, it starts raining money. Now, in terms of the base journey that you go on, so this traffic and magnet, what are the metrics that I need to look at? Well, I'm looking at click-through rates, bounce rates, that sort of thing. Next step of the base journey is I want them to opt in. I want them to give me my information. And so here I'm interested in cost per clicks. Then when I gauge them, what kind of samples do they need? What kind of journey are they going to go on? Like after they watch this video, is it just about them knowing me better, or is it a call to act? And so here you're interested in what the costs are and what the value is of all these leads. And then the conversion events, eventually you're going to ask for a sale. And is that about email? Is it going to be form letters? And so what are the costs of all these sessions? And finally, you do make that sale. And so you can figure out what your profit is or cost is annually, or how much you're getting return on your ad spends. Now, there is another factor in all this. If you have actually a physical store or something, now location marketing comes into effect, that you're driving people towards a certain location. So maybe some of the conversion events that are being talked about aren't relevant. The whole point is to get feet through the door, and then within your store itself, you're doing something different. And so in terms of content, this is what Fletcher came up with, and he talked about how hard is it to consume. And let's face it, reading an entire ebook is pretty hard to consume. And how desirable is it? I disagree. I mean, I agree with the values of this, but I disagree with some of the placements. And that's that videos 2 minutes or less are easy to consume. In fact, they're almost become mandatory. So I don't understand some of these things. Also, white papers. If it's a good paper on something you're interested in, then that really draws people in. I know it draws in my interest, because for somebody to read through a white paper, they're making a significant investment into what you're doing. So in terms of social media engagement, how much time do I spend on it? What's my level of activity? Meaning, how often do I come around, and how much do I actually transact? And what are my externalities? Meaning, are they attracted by my brand? Are people out there like coding for each other, creating content for my site? What are those extra benefits that I get from having a network? Those are the three things that drive my enjoyment, engagement. So who can potentially influence what goes on, and what kind of content are we talking about? Why is Google interested in a self-driving car? Why is home automation such a big deal? Why was TV the first appliance to go to the web? And where's Microsoft in all this? Well, what all of those things have in common, except for Microsoft, is they're fighting for your time. They're fighting for your attention. When you're in a car, you're a captive audience. If you don't have to drive anymore, guess what? That car's going to have a little TV in it or a computer system, so you can go Google. Home automation, again, to get your attraction, to get your attention. And TV was the first appliance to go to the web because that's where people used to spend most of their time, in front of the TV, and that's been consistently going down. And Microsoft, the biggest software company in the world. What's their role in all this? Well, the reason why they're not visible is Microsoft has finally wised up. They realize what Microsoft's strength is in business. And so that's why they bought LinkedIn. And so it makes a lot more sense that they're going to go along with that platform. And so, who is the champ? Who does dominate our time that we spend per day? Is it dang Google? We spend 8 minutes a day. We spend a lot more time, well, not a lot more time, but we definitely spend more time on YouTube. And even more so is Facebook. So who is the champ in all this? Reddit. And that kind of makes sense. When you're sitting there reading articles, you spend more time. But Reddit is a champion. They're the ones who engage you the most, more than anything else. I mean, Facebook, what have we gotten into the habit of doing? Just skimming, just saying, okay, is there anything interesting? No, I'm out. So here's the social media landscape of all the different kinds of social media and the companies that support those. And so when we look at the big 15 social giants, we'll do that in the next lecture.